Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas, and today is March 19th, 2025, and I'm going to share my first set of alternative cards using the March paper pumpkin kit named Daydream. So I've done my unboxing, so if you missed that and want to see what all the contents are, that's the previous video to this one, so you can search in my YouTube channel for those, as well as any other past paper pumpkin kits if you're looking for alternatives. So before we begin, let me thank those of you that have subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching my videos. I have a goal to reach 4,400 and we're gaining a few each day. So if you have watched a few of my videos, or maybe you're new to my channel and I want to welcome you, maybe you would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I would be very grateful for that. So let me switch to hands down so I can share some information. Okay, now I hope we don't have any camera freezing on this video. I apologize for that last time. I'm going to be glancing over every once in a while just to make sure all my cameras are still recording and not frozen. So if you see me kind of glancing to the side, that's what I'm checking. But I have here to share the next quarter of 2025's paper pumpkin kit. I have to tell you, I'm very excited about April. It looks to be a beautiful card kit. It is intended to make 9 cards. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I make many more than just the 9 cards. And the coordinating colors are Berry Burst, which that will be the Stampin' Spot, Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia, Gorgeous Grape, Peach Pie, and Pool Party. And look at all those colors. I think it's going to be a great one. So I'm looking forward to that one. And it says it's going to have hand-painted alcohol ink designs. So I think that's going to be beautiful. It has some gold foil on the card bases and sentiments, and pre-cut pieces and butterfly embellishments. So again, a great one there. Now, I did go and finally wrote the item number for the add-on dies for this quarter. The item number is 166238, and it's going to include 4 of these dies that'll coordinate with this quarter, but you know you can use them in any of your paper crafting, so they're a great value to get. I've yet to order mine. I need to order those, but I've just been busy. Got back from on stage, and then I'm working on this kit. So that is the next quarter of paper pumpkins. And then don't forget, it's your ending in about a month or so, a month and a half, will be this mini catalog as well as our big annual catalog. So check out all those goodies that may be on your wish list and don't miss out on those. And then we can get started. Let me set this behind me. All right, so today, as my title said, I'm going to be sharing 5 alternative cards using 1 card base and 1 envelope. So kind of how I started was I got out the supplies. Now I've pre-cut some and I'll share that as we go along. Let me put up the instructions so I don't lose those. And I don't know if I've shared recently, but these are part of my favorite things. And they hold kits perfectly like this rather than a box, so it takes up less room. And then I use these smaller ones to organize all my supplies for my cards that I share with you guys. And I'm getting a bunch of these pouches filled because I have several projects going. But anyway, so here is the card base. Now, like I said, I've already cut it apart. Let me set it out kind of like it was, so you can get a hint. Now that's the envelope that we're going to use. And then we had this Daydream. So this is the card base as it was. And so what I did was I cut it, and I'll show you what I cut for. Let me just go ahead and start with one of those cards. All right, let me see which one I want to start with. Let's start with this one. Okay, so this uses this remainder piece. And so I'm going to set these aside and I'll share, you know what, let me start with the one that's cut, and then that'll be the remainder one. So I'm going to start with this one. So let me get out my supplies. It'd make more sense why that size was the way it was. So as usual, you're going to need a thick white card base. Okay, and then I cut this with Daffodil Delight from the new textured note dies, and I mentioned when I use those in my February alternatives that I'm going to love these and use them a lot. So the item number for just the dies is 165555, so 4 5s at the end. And if you do not have a demonstrator or want to support me, if you can use this host code when you place an order, if it's $75 or more, you will receive a special gift from me. All right, and then I have a layer of old olive that I've embossed with the new mini corrugated embossing folder. Let me grab that so I can share the item number for it. Okay, so this is the mini corrugated 3D embossing folder, and as you can see here, it creates this little ripple effect. I want to also give you a tip that when you're embossing it, your piece, you want it to be at least 1/8 of an inch longer. Okay, it's not going to shrink it width-wise, but it will shrink it long-wise. So I love to use 5 3/8. So I went ahead and cut this to 5 1/2 by 4 1/8. And then after I embossed it, it ended up 5 3/8. So this will shrink your layers. I've started just kind of cutting all of my pieces to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That way I can trim it after it's embossed in case it does any shrinking on any of the folders. And that shrinkage is just called by the different height that it gives your paper. So I'm going to use a mini corrugated, and like I said, I cut this from the Daffodil Delight piece. So that's going to be our layer here. And I also going to bring in a new product. It's called the Fancy Borders, and I was sad when our Elegant Border Dies retired, but I saw these and I especially love this design. This die works well with the stamp set. I don't think I have it here by my side, but it does have a coordinating stamp set. Now, one thing I love that Stampin' Up! Has done, so if you were to look up these border dies 165380, there will be a little icon that shows the coordinating products and the bundle and all of that. So at least I don't have to share the bundle numbers. It's pretty easy to find those now. So what I did, and I pre-did this so you didn't have to watch me do that because I have lots of cards to share. All right, so I cut this to 5 3/8, and then I cut it to about 3 1/2. Okay, just so I had enough room. And then when you line this up, kind of be mindful of the ends if you want those to match. So you can kind of line it up like this. I have it upside down, and then make sure you don't have it upside down. And then I kind of tap it on my desk, okay, like that, and grab both pieces, and then I tape each side so it doesn't move. And so then you can get a nice straight border. Now, another tip, if you want to be extra careful that you get it straight, is cut it a little larger than you need on both sides. All right, let me get out my trimmer so I can show you what you would do. I'm not going to trim this one. So after you cut this side, you would line the bordered side in your trimmer and cut a little from both sides, and then this side, and then you would have a square piece. I hope that makes sense. I've shared that before when I use a border die. Just want to give a little refresher of how I did that. So this is just out of white cardstock, and then I'm going to bring in this piece right here. Now what I did is I cut this so it would fit inside this square. And just a tip, what I start doing is, like, I have these dies and I've measured what the inside layer would be. So with the third largest die, it's 2 3/8 by 3 7/8, which will fit inside that die. So as I start working with these and need a layer inside, I'll write those there so I don't have to look it up every single time. So I get tired of measuring those, and it's just nice to write them down so I don't have to redo that. All right, let me put all this back over here so I can get back to the card. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna glue this down. Now, shockingly, I didn't bring in any ribbon to these cards. I may do embellishments, which I haven't done yet, but I can always add those at the end. We didn't get any embellishments with this kit, so it would just be some you might have in your stash. All right, so I did use the bigger bottle so that I would have a little more stream of glue going. All right, just to make sure it does adhere. And while that's firming up, I'm gonna put this on this layer right here. And I guess I need to share. Okay, I did cut the card base in half first so that I was working with the flower side and then the honeycomb side. So even though this was intended for a horizontal card, I think it's going to work vertical. I do prefer vertical cards over horizontal, but you can make this either way. All right, and then this is going to adhere to this layer. Now, if you want to go ahead and put a sentiment, you can either do it directly on here or add a label. So I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to adhere this to that bordered, pretty border piece. Oh, I thought I was going to have creator block with this kit. I just played with it and played with it all day yesterday, and I think I decided these were it. So I hope you like them. All right, so this is going to go here and this is going to go here, but I also want to fancy it up a little bit. Okay, now there were flowers that they put over the top of that, and have those handy because I'm going to use those on a future card. So basically grab all your supplies, your card base, your envelope, and those flowers that they used, because we're going to make part of our 5 cards using all of that. But I did go out and make my Etsy cut file. So if you have a Scan and Cut, Silhouette, or Cricut, my cut file is out on my Etsy shop, which it is, there's a link to that in this video description. Just go to the description, click more, and you may have to hit more again, and there'll be a link to my Etsy shop as well as all my favorite things if you're looking for those. All right, and then also I shared that I cut these out of little 3-ring binder parts so that I can have lots of setups until I run out of plates so I can have lots of setup. But I took the flower and I fussy cut around the leaves. Okay, it's okay with the leaves, but I just wanted little daisies to decorate. So I have cut several of these. I just have to get it going the right direction. And I've set it in there. Make sure it's in the corner. I'm going to get my little memento, and I'm just going to kind of ink the center because that's what I have the flower for. That was pretty easy to fussy cut out of the leaves, but I have a Scan and Cut, and I was able to make a cut file so I didn't have to fussy cut a lot of them. All right, I need some more. I always get it upside down. All right, make sure it's in the corner. And close, and then I'm going to need one more for an odd number. So I have all my goodies stored in here of my cuts so that I'll have those ready to go. All right, and then one more. I could have done these ahead of time, but I know you guys may want to know how I stamp stuff, and this is how I do it. So there's little guesswork to when you use a stamp positioning tool. Now this Stamparatus is no longer sold by Stampin' Up, and of course my chamois is soaking. So I'm just going to shoot it with some water, and I have a paper towel here. Now if you use a paper towel or baby wipe, you kind of want to dab, because if you rub, now I get the strong paper towels, but it could leave little fuzz pieces of your cloth. So be mindful about that as well. I try to share lots of tips as we go along and kind of just as they happen. All right, let me not lose these. Now to color these, you could use watercolor pencils, blend alcohol markers, or just the regular Stampin' Write marker. So I'm just going to color in the center with yellow. The watercolor pencils are a great value. I've had mine since I first started, and you can see I have lots of left to sharpen and use. All right, so that's all the coloring for those. Let me grab my card back out. All right, and then we're going to glue this, we're going to not glue it, we're going to add this whole layer with dimensionals. Let me grab those out. This is just an old clamshell box that our wood mounted stamps used to come in. So I've repurposed those since I converted all mine to clear or cling mount. I had a lot of those boxes. I use them to store my blends in by kind of colors like reds, greens. I did like it on stage. They mentioned that women can usually multitask a little better than most men. I can't say all men. That they would have a hard time talking about other stories while crafting. And it is challenging. So if I misspeak some things, just know that I'm doing my best here to share these alternatives. And hopefully will inspire you to make some of these to expand your kit. All right. Now this I'm going to hold up just so I get it even with the border there. Now, if you wanted, you could put some ribbon here or here, but I kind of like the simplicity of that. All right, and then I'm going to take all these little daisies. I'm going to get my bone folder, and I'm kind of going to curl up the flower petals. All right, 1, 2. I think it's much cuter just by itself. What do you guys think? Then with the leaves. You could do it with the leaves. I just preferred to do the petals. And then I'm going to get some glue dots. Now, I have lots of glue dots from Paper Pumpkin kits. If not, you could use liquid glue on this as well. Let me get my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put it right in the center of the flower. Okay. That one kind of came apart already. All right, and then I'm just going to decorate my card with these daisies, and that way I'm saving the ones that went over the top for a third card. Oh, not upside down. I think he kind of goes that way. So now a sentiment. So I did, like I said, I do have all my sentiments in a cut file. A lot of you guys like that these have borders. Now I do them in a bigger border and a smaller border. Let me see if I can find one. Of course, I'm grabbing all larger borders. That one's for a hello. Lots of goodies in here. Now, if you have a scan and cut, you want to use the scan and cut file, not the SVG. For some reason, it does not come in true to size. But anyway, that's a sample of them. I'm having a hard time finding the multiple sizes because I've used some of them. I'm going to get that B out for later. But anyway, lots of, oh, here's one. All right, so here's closer in and here's a bigger border. So both of those are out there, so you don't have to, you pick your preference. I kind of like the closer in, and if you wanted to fancy this up a little bit, you could put a little strip of yellow, maybe off both ends. You know what, let's use this little piece that was on my desk. I'm just going to kind of cut it in half. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of my multi-purpose liquid glue on both ends. We're just going to give it a little flag. Well, like a little banner. Oops, wrong side. Okay, off that side. And then this one, I want it going like that. This is hard to share. It's so teeny, and put it on there good. All right, that's on there. So you can see I just kind of put it on the back there. And then let me get my multi-purpose liquid glue. It's in the fine tip bottle. You could put this on dimensionals as well, but since the whole layer is on dimensionals, I tend to just do one to keep it not as bulky. So there is my first alternative card using part of the card base. So after I cut that one to go inside the frame, I pretty much used the other half for my other card. Let me put this one away. Kind of put my supplies over here. And I may have to add an additional glue dot to him. He barely stayed, but he's staying for now, and I'll fix that afterwards. So the second card I want to share is I'll use the remainder. Well, no, I need to do this one. So I cut this one to, oh, I shared the show. All right. All right, so I did the same cut to the other side, the honeycomb piece. So you're going to need a thick white card base, a Daffodil Delight layer, and then this time I cut a green rectangle, and that is with the third largest. I did use the third largest on all of these. Okay, and then I cut this half of the honeycomb, right, to fit this one. So I have this remainder. So I'm setting those aside. And then I brought in some vellum, and I kind of wanted to soften that honeycomb look. All right. And then you need a white layer. Okay, you want this white layer a tad smaller. You can pick. I do mine at the yellow at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I did my white at 4 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to stamp. Now I do love this big honeycomb stamp that we got. Now I have it on a bigger block. It must fit on a D, just because all paper pumpkin stamps are supposed to fit on a D. And let me get a piece of scrap paper. All right, you can see I've used it already. And I'm going to get out my full-size Daffodil Delight pad. If you have just spots, this would work as well. But I'm going to use this for ease of stamping. Now, since this is kind of a distressed honeycomb, and I really like it. So bigger stamps, I really like to take the ink pad to the stamp. All right, and then we just need to stamp. You can just do the sides of this one, and that was not good because you know what? I didn't have my Stampin' Pierce mat, but there's two sides of paper, so I'm going to flip that over. All right, and oh, I need my, in case I go off of it, I don't want to have ink on my Stampin' Pierce mat. And then give it a good press. All right, that's good. And then ink, 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 ink. And I'm kind of going to look to see where it connects together. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just in the background here, and a lot of it's going to get covered up. All right, well, you get the picture, right? So I'm not going to finish this one because I have one pre-done so that you can kind of see what I did. All right, I have one pre-done over here that I stamped all over. Now I embossed this with a retired Hive 3D embossing folder. So again, you don't have to emboss it. I think it would look good just like that without embossing. Okay, but since I had that folder, I remembered it, and I went ahead and embossed that layer with that. So let's attach this to that so I don't lose it. Set my scrap paper aside. And again, my hair is tickling me there. And you see how I start the glue? I kind of give it a little motion until it starts flowing. Just keep your wrist going back and forth. And let's attach this to that. And then let's attach this to this. No ribbon. So I can do the gluing now. I don't have to wait to add any ribbon. All right, so feel for the front. This one is a tad bigger, so this is going to be my front. And then move it around so it's kind of centered on your white card base. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to adhere this honeycomb piece to the inside of my old olive piece. Like that. It's very windy here today. It has been the last couple days. We've gone from highs in the 80s to today 60 something. So back and forth. Now, when I first started designing this, I used yellow, and I just thought it needed a little bit of contrast of a different color. Now, this is where you're going to bring in the flowers that were designed for this card, and I have a few left. So just pick a couple, maybe different sizes. All right, something like that. And then we're going to use a honeycomb piece, and you can either stamp a bee or use one of the ones included in the kit. I'll just use him since he was in there. And so you can use the remainder on other cards, but it needed some greenery, right? So I wished I had the add-on dies, which I did not, but in my stash, this is from the new Thankful Garden, the one that has mass and everything, and I thought it was pretty close to the add-on dies. So I just cut several leaves here to put in the background. 2 is plenty. And then I'm going to adhere this. Now I'm going to use my fine tip glue bottle because I don't want it too runny. And I'm just going to put it on some leaves there. Same thing here. And just kind of set those down. And the flowers we will add just kind of there. So I'm going to set them down to see how I like them first. All right, I like that. Oops, it wasn't quite dry and it picked it up. Like that. And then I'm going to take the honeycomb and the bee and put him over here in the corner. So to do that, I'm going to set down my honeycomb, add multi-purpose liquid glue to the bee, and when that dries, the bee will be holding down the honeycomb pieces. All right, and then we're going to attach this whole thing on the card with dimensionals, of course, because it needs some more dimension to make it more interesting. Now for my next video. It won't be until next week. My dad's birthday is Friday, so I'm going to be spending time with my family over the weekend. My husband and I, we have been playing tag because he was here and then I left for on stage. I came back for on stage and he had to travel for business, and then he's cut his visit short to spend some time with me tonight before I go out of town to visit my folks. He's too busy working right now to go. I think I just centered this. And if you wanted a cute little sentiment, this hello works really good. Of course, that's the bigger border one. Do you guys really want to see me search for the little one? Probably not. But anyway, any of those would work. Here's a little thank you. Would work perfect there too. So that is the second card. All right, so let me put this one aside and get to my third three. How are we doing on time? So I hope you grabbed something to drink. If you want to pause it and go get something to drink, we still have several cards to go. All right, so now we're going to use the remainder pieces that after we cut to fit in those squares. Okay, now good news here. You know what? Did I not put that vellum on there? Okay, I did not put the vellum piece on there. But if you wanted that honeycomb to be a little softer, you could put the vellum piece on there. So another way to do an alternate, let me see. This is the one with the vellum on it. So I forgot to put that piece. I do kind of like the vellum. It helps the flowers to stand out. So I may do some stamp surgery and try to get those up. Or not, I'll just have two different ones. And my third one I do with my remaining card base, I can put the vellum on there. Okay, so we're going to use these remaining pieces. I have the thick white card base. Another, get to use lots of Daffodil Delight. Another white layer to go inside that. And I did just a basic old olive for that one. And then we're going to use this piece. So I thought I would use the different stamps we have. And this one I used, I think it's over here, my little honeycomb. Here it is. It's on my desk. The little honeycomb that matches kind of the add-on dies. Now I thought I would do just a contrasting color, so I'm going to use Smoky Slate. Let me grab that behind me. Okay, I just wanted a little bit of contrast of color, and I need a scrap piece of paper again for if I go off. That was the old kits. So I'm just going to stamp around the edges. I like this stamp too. It's really cute. So I wanted a subtle background with this one versus the grungy full honeycombs. I should have done one of these ahead of time so you didn't have to struggle and watch me stamp. But it's just a random stamping. Turn your stamp lots of directions, and I guess I got some in the center there, but we're going to cover that up. So it's kind of like making your own designer series paper. Now you may have, gosh, it was a long time ago, we had some bee honeycomb paper. All right, I think that's going to be enough. Let me just do some in the smaller quarters. All right, so there is our random stamping with the honeycomb in Smoky Slate. All right, we're going to put this on our yellow piece. So let me get... planes going, wind going, but you guys hopefully can't hear it. I have my mic set to kind of drown out background noise. All right, and we can add this to our thick white card base. Okay, like that. All right, and then we're gonna add our old olive piece. So basically whatever you have left of that flower side, just cut a old olive piece, like 1/8 of an inch bigger. You can do a quarter if you like more background to show of the old olive. I like to set it down and then give it a little mush to kind of spread the glue around. All right, so then we're going to take this layer, very simple card, and I apologize, my nose is itching. I've got hair or something in my face, and so we're going to layer this. So which way do you like? Do you like that at the bottom? Actually, I think I like the flowers like that. That one looks more like it's pushing, going upwards. Okay, or do you like the flower on that side? It really doesn't make a difference. You can choose whichever way you like. I'm just going to do this up in the corner. Oh, I found the hair. Hopefully it will be out of my face. I think it fell back down. So this one's just going to go flat. And then you can guess it. This one's going to go on with dimensionals. I left that piece out, didn't I? Here it is. And then I'm going to decorate this with some more daisies. If we're doing okay on time, I'm going to make them again. So if you missed that, you get to see it again. Let me cut my big dimensionals in half to use all of those. Lots of dimensional backings. I find them everywhere in my house, especially where my shoes and where I take off my clothes. Inevitably I have some stuck to me. All right, which way did I say that looks better? Like that, with that flower going up. So what do you think of that with the old olive? I could have done the same yellow. I just thought this really kind of emphasizes the flowers. All right, and then we're going to stamp some more little flowers. Now this one, I stamped a big one, although I think I did it in the opposite corner. And then I layered the big one with another petal. So you could see that look as well. All right, this goes by fast, so I hope you don't mind watching again. So again, I stamp the stamp flat on my piece. All right, then I line up the negative where that goes, and then I get perfect stamping that way. Just have to always remember to push this thing in the corner, because all the photopolymer stamps on there stick to it and kind of move it. And I had a third one. In the corner. Stamp. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do a large one here. In the corner. And stamp. Now I shared this, and I'm going to share it again because it's not something that Stampin' Up! Carries, if I can find it real quick. Okay, I found this works really well for the Stamparatus. So what this is, it's like if you were painting and you wanted to go along a border, well, it has that same fuzz on it. So I just squirt this, okay, with some water, and eventually, over time, I also will do the stamp and scrub with it. But the water kind of reactivates it, and then I can just go along my stamps on my plate. So this is a part of my favorite things. I recently added it when I showed it the first time. But since there's not a Stampin' Up! One like this, I thought I would share that again since my chamois is still soaking. All right, so put that away. Now I can do a quick color of my flowers. My yellow. And then I'm going to do this one in case it shows. And I'm going to do a quick sloppy coloring of my leaves. This is the Old Olive watercolor pencil. And then, hope I have my blender pen out. You know what, I'm going to go back in and get it a little better since I don't know where my blender pen is. All right, that's a good soft color. So, you know, I should have thought of it and done that corner, but I think he looks odd there. So I'm going to add him up here with my multi-purpose liquid glue. All right, and then this flower, I'm going to get my bone folder again, kind of turn up the corners. And if you don't have glue dots, you can just do a dot of multi-purpose liquid glue. Set that on top of that. So that kind of layers him. He looks a little more fancy. And then we're going to put these other two on. So let me just curl these real quick. So just to decorate it up a little bit because he's kind of plain since we're saving those flowers for another card. And let's put this one in all the leaves. There. And I think that's good. 3 flower clusters. And if you wanted some extra sparkle, you could take some Wink of Stella. You know what? Where's mine? Is this one clear? No, that's white. I have some white and some clear. Well, my clear is not in its bucket. Maybe it's empty. But you could also add Wink. Oh, here it is. Now here's how I like to do Wink of Stella. Let me shake it up a little bit. Is I like to get a block. Let me get one that we get in kits that are hard to hold. And then I kind of do it off to the side so I don't get a big blob. All right, and then, oh, I think I'm gonna really like this. This just came to me while we were making these, that they were kind of plain. So Wink of Stella always dresses things up. I'm just going to do the ones down below. Can you see the shine on that? I really like that. I'm going to go back and do my other ones like that. Does that, I don't know if it shows Wink of Stella glitter. All right, so that is the third card with the card base. Now, 2 last cards. See the difference? Like I don't know, that really doesn't show on the camera, does it? Oh well, okay. You guys are like, move on, Robin. All right, so now we're going to do the envelopes. Now, I've pre-cut this, so we didn't have to struggle, and I knew this would run long. So when you open up the card base, right, you're going to take a little sliver off of each one. All right, and then I cut this till it was square, about 5/8 of an inch wide. Okay, so you're going to take a little from each side and kind of have equal rounding here. All right, so the next thing I did was trim it where this was from the center was 3¼ inches that way. All right, so I wrote that on there so you could see. And then the honey bee here, I got rid of everything else and just cut this to 5¼ by 4. Now I do have the subtle embossing folder, and you can still kind of see that crease, but I did the best I could to hide it. And then of course some flowers are going to hide this. So let's make these last 2 cards, and that will be our 5 cards from one base. I just have to find my goodies, because these I did not make up ahead of time. I just thought I would do those with on camera. Now this time I decided to use Lemon Lolly. I don't know why. I just thought Lemon Lolly was softer and only a little bit shows, so I was okay adding that to here. I can tell which way I cut the paper, and I want it that way, I think. All right, now with envelope paper, you need to be careful about your glue because it is a thin paper. So I'm using my multi-purpose liquid glue. If you use not tear and tape, double-sided tape runner, be real careful if you embossed it, because the embossing weakens the paper even more. So it may tear on you. I've had that happen. So what do you think of the Lemon Lolly? I don't know. I just thought it was softer. Didn't like scream Daffodil Delight. All right, and we're going to put this on there. I thought about adding ribbon to that score line, but I think it's going to be okay after I add my flowers to it. And I brought in some other daisies. Now obviously you could use the stamp that came in the kit, but in case you have these other supplies, I like to give you a use for them. So I thought I was going to use the new Delightful Wishes, but then I realized there's really only a small daisy and a small cluster here. But current still was the Cheerful Daisies bundle, or excuse me, it's not a bundle anymore. There is the stamp set and dies available separately. So I just did some different ones, and then of course I brought in that same greenery that I used on the first card. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is going to cover up the score line there. So if you don't have that embossing folder, don't worry about it. I have heard people just run it through your clear plates with nothing in there, and it might smooth it out a little bit. Okay, or you may have a different, slightly subtle, like the Tasteful Textile that retired a while back. It's kind of a generic pattern. All right, and then we want to align our daisies. Now, these Cheerful Daisies, I like how there's like 2 layers. Maybe the big one you can see better. So there's this solid layer, and then you glue this detailed layer that has some texture with it. So just kind of line these up where you think you'll like them. You know, that looked pretty good. Just kind of toss them around. And then adhere these down. Now the large one, I'm going to put a dimensional on him. I know, I personalize my stamps. It's just a thing I like to do. Let's put some more. Probably shouldn't have done right in the center because it shows through. Let me see if I can move it. There we go. Since there's no other dimension on this card, I need to do at least 1 flower up. I don't really want to cover the other ones that much. Okay, and then since I got it out, we could Wink-a-Stella them. Isn't that cute? I really wish you can see the sparkle because it really adds to the card. All right, and then all we need would be a sentiment. One of this, thank you for being there, always there for me would work. If they ever get the little bees back in stock, these would be fabulous to add. These are the perfect size. Like you could add these. Isn't that cute? All over the card, or not all over, maybe 3. All right. So just some ideas to kind of dress that up. Of course, you probably have a sentiment there. I hope these come back soon. I think it was expected to be like April 7th or something like that. All right. I'm not going to take the time to put these on because this video is running long. And we'll do our last card. All right, so what do you think of that one? Again, you could use the daisy set in our kit. But that's the 4th card. And now for the last one is this. All right, so I remembered back in December, we had, December a year ago, I think. It was this cute, it was dandelion, so, and it was green, blue and yellow and greens, and I really like that. So this time I brought in a balmy blue piece. I did think about boho blue, but it was much darker and I wanted a softer, and then I had to get this die, Pattern of Friendship. Now this is just one huge die, you can see it there, but it does stitching on your card. So the item number for this is 165384. It is available in a bundle. And it comes like that. That's a great set of sentiments. I may have to do a cut file for those. So if you're interested in that, give me a shout out and I'll see about working on that when I get back. A cut file for that. Of course, our envelope piece, which I explained the cutting earlier. Thick white card base. Some leaves. And I already did the coloring on this one in case I was running short on time. So that is the bee stamp in our kit. All right, and then I did some individual petals. So this is really making me want to go ahead and order my paper pumpkin dies. But they came out just after I'd placed an order for my online exclusive stuff. So I needed to wait. Now these I'm going to kind of angle down. So kind of like that big flower patch we got. The detailed ones right here, right? That are in our kit. All right, and then I'm going to put this up. I already have dimensionals on it. Everybody say thank you, Robin. All right, we're going to put him in the middle. And we're going to put these on the sides. Just kind of make a little cluster. All right, and then, oh, I didn't adhere this yet. We need to adhere the envelope. Now you could lick that. I'm not going to lick it. I'm going to use my liquid glue. On the envelope piece. I can't get the lid on. Now I'm going to hold this up because the glue could seep through the little stitching. I'm going to have to get my glue eraser when that dries. All right, feel to see which side. I think it's this one. Now you could add ribbon here. I'm not going to. I think it looks, I don't want to hide up my stitching that shows there. And let's hope none of this pokes through because I'm going to use my, well, I think I'm going to use this. There we go. I guess it's getting low. I do always store them upside down. Now there are 2 ends, right? I never use that end. I always use the fine tip end. If you got a big blob, I guess you could use that other end to kind of smooth it out. All right, and so this is my 5th card, and that's driving me nuts. Let's see if I can kind of hold it and get my glue eraser out. Hopefully I'm not shaking the camera too much, but I'll work on that more after I close. So again, it needs a sentiment. Let's fancy up the plain little flowers here. All right, and when that dries, it won't look like it's a different color. So it just looks wet right now. All right, so that is the 5th one. Let's see if I can find them all. 1, 2. Oh, I didn't do my bee. That's what's wrong. Where should we put the bee? Here. It needs one more piece of interest. Since we have this bee, we'll add the bee. He is a large bee, isn't he? Of course, we also have the die cuts if you have those add-ons. You know what? I'm going to cover up that little glue piece with the bee. That's perfect. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 went, here it is. I was like, 5 went missing. Oh yeah, this is the one that I forgot to put the vellum on. All right, so this is it with the vellum. Like I said, I really like the vellum better. It makes those flowers pop a little bit. But anyway, these are my alternatives for you today. Let me clean this up and get back to me. Luckily, nothing froze. I like panicked. Thank goodness I'd gotten through most of the unboxing, or actually all of it. When it froze at a good spot that I could refresh my screen and then get to my add-on, the what is that called? My convention stuff, the onstage products. So thanks for joining me, everyone, today. I hope you, if you haven't received your kit, hopefully you get it soon. And always test your stamps first thing, all right? Because you want to make sure that they're etched properly, because you don't want to work on this kit, you know, 3 months from now and call because your stamps are defective and they don't have any. So always check that. I always do that in my unboxing. So just wanted to do a quick reminder of that. If you like this video, the best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button that'll show up here in a second, and leave me a kind comment and share it with your other paper crafting friends if I didn't already say that. So have a great day, everyone, and I'll be back next week with more alternatives. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications of when I post. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.